Hi everyone, welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to talk about WrestleMania 41, Night 1. Just going to go through the matches themselves, give a quick overview of things that happened, but not go blah 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 by what happened and the ins and outs, more sort of my overall thoughts and opinions of each match, and give it a little bit of let's give it a good old star rating at the end and overall show. For this year, I've been looking forward to quite a lot of the card, to be honest. I still think, for me as an old school wrestling fan, obvious old school wrestling fan, I kind of prefer the one night spectacle where the matches were matches that meant something. They were the ones that have been building up for a year, or since Royal Rumble, or since last year's WrestleMania. The 2-night spread feels like more of a way of making sure that pretty much everyone on the card participates in some way and gets a payday. I understand that, I get that, but it just seems to have lost a little bit of its mystique over the past few years, splitting it into 2 nights, and there has been a bit of a split in the fact that one night is always stronger than the other. I don't know what's going to happen tonight. Well, I won't be watching it live tonight. I'll be probably watching it in the morning. I'm an old man. I can't stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning watching wrestling. As much as I'd love to, I did watch an hour last night live, but it was just like I can't concentrate. I'd rather watch it with a fresh mind, so I watched it this morning. So we started off with Gunther and Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship, the Raw Championship, I think, at the moment. We know this was going to be happening since January. Jey Uso has been on a massive rise over the past year, unfortunately. Personally, I don't think he's great. He's got over because European fans and crowds love to participate and make things a lot more over the top when we do get a Raw or a SmackDown, or even we're getting quite a lot of pay-per-views. Oh wait, what do they call them now? PLEs? PLE? Premium Live Event, yeah. Pay-per-view, it'll still be to me. So he's been over with the crowd for quite a while now because they like to participate, and it's one of those things. It's like he's been rewarded probably beyond his station. Like back in the day when you'd see mid-carders rise up through the ranks, sometimes you'd be like, yeah, I can see why someone's gone from Intercontinental to going for the championship. You know, back in the day it'd be like Bret Hart leveling up, or Chris Jericho, guys like that. Even, you know, to some said maybe The Miz, you know. But then you see Jey Uso, who's been primarily a tag team guy with his brother for well over a decade. Like, is it 15 years? It's been well over a decade. He's been a tag team guy, going solo for the past few years, and not really setting the world alight with his matches. I know some people in the comments might be like, this is kind of ironic coming from a guy with a Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania 6 poster behind him wearing a Ultimate Warrior t-shirt, talking about not setting the world alight in the ring. Hey, Warrior to me, when I were a kid, was larger than life, like an actual real life comic book person coming to life. Ripped to shreds, massive, brightly coloured, just a ball of energy. Whereas Jey Uso's kind of like a complete opposite of that. He seems to lack energy, isn't in great shape. I'd say I'm in better shape, and I'm not even a full-time athlete. I'm a videographer, creative guy. I sit on a desk and playing Photoshop and After Effects all day and Premiere Pro. Like, I'm not an athlete, but I'd probably say I'm in better shape than that guy. So the match with Gunther, it went for a while, but it mostly went for a while because he had a really long intro. That's a big thing with Jey recently, is that he had really long intros. Getting the crowd hyped up, maybe getting them too hyped up because what then proceeds in the ring doesn't really match up with the hype. So he had a long intro with cheerleaders, crowd going, singing along and getting really hyped up. Pat McAfee off his tits, hyped up as he usually is. Thankfully, Pat was in a suit this time, so we're not having to be subjected to him in his trademark black tank top and pasty uncooked sausage arms. The match itself was what you'd expect from a Jey Uso match. The one thing that surprised me was Gunther he didn't seem like a fighting champion, like someone who came in feeling like he can win this. He had to sort of cheat in ways or try to underhand win, and it wasn't the Gunther that you've been seeing on camera for ages, this guy, the ring general, the guy who's dominant, who wins over people and really technical in the ring, it seemed like it was a weird dynamic, because usually you'd see that tactic come out in some people against a Brock Lesnar or a prime Batista or Undertaker back in the days, like people that, you know, when they step in a ring, you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to pull out all the stops to beat this guy. I wouldn't necessarily think that with going against Jey Uso, a guy who's, you know, comes across to me as he's probably a fun, really cool dude, but sometimes I'm like, did he pass anything in school? There seems to be a lot going on in that mind. A lot of it messed up with maybe help with some alcohol and extras. But yeah, a weird match. A good way to kick off the show, I guess, because you get that big win for Jey out of the way. We've known it was going to happen. I was kind of hoping we might get sideswiped, and you know, the whole story of main event Jey Uso coming to the Realm Wars. He doesn't quite make it, and it progresses his story as the underdog a bit more. But he got the win. I'm hoping we get something similar to like a Christian run where it's over quick. I don't think having Jey have a long run with the World Heavyweight Championship will do any credibility for the championship. I think if anything, it'll maybe start to turn it into a bit of a joke title. It's like, well, give it to R-Truth next. You know, if you've got someone of the caliber of Jey Uso who's over because people like to interact with his intro, then, you know, okay, well, why is LA Knight not a champion by now? Because he's just as over with the crowd when it comes to interaction with intros. If that's all it takes these days, great. I'll give this 2.5 stars. Wasn't great, didn't do well for me. I knew going into it I wasn't going to be blown away by it, and it lived up to my expectations for that. Next up, we got a relatively quick tag team match with the New Day, the bad guy New Days, and the War Raiders, Viking Raiders, War Raiders, what's it say on my notes? War Raiders. Very quick match. It was one of those matches that you'd expect, this is pre-Netflix, when it was on TV and, you know, they had to be off by a certain time. A match that gets cut short because previous matches went too long, promos lasted longer than they should have. So a match that should have been like 15-20 minutes gets cut down to 10 minutes. And this was like a 10-minute match. And just flew by. There were no major spots that stood out. The New Day won. First time in a long time. First time as the bad guy run. But it's been a while since we've seen them on top. I'm kind of glad that they're back on top, because I kind of want to see how dastardly and bad they are. Like, they're kind of comedy bad at the moment. They're like good guys trying to be bad, like Tobey Maguire when he was in Spider-Man 3 when Peter Parker went bad, and his version of being bad was like some weird 50s Happy Days, like guy with slicked hair and wears a leather jacket, kind of bad. I kind of enjoy what New Day are doing, but yeah, a really random quick match. Can't really go too high on the stats because not a whole lot happened. It wasn't a lot of back and forth, no random good spots, no shocking elements. The shock was the New Day won, and it happened in less than 10 minutes, so it's going to have to be a quick 3 stars. Next up, we had the first of the women's matches. Jade Cargill coming out like Storm from the X-Men, which seems to be her thing. I thought she might have switched it up and gone with some other sort of superhero. She has done other looks of heroes, but I think she's sticking with this Storm thing. I don't know if it's whether to try to entice Marvel to be like, do you wanna maybe take me on to be Storm in your X-Men films? I don't think she'll have the acting chops for that, because right now she certainly doesn't have the sort of acting chops in the wrestling world. She's still a little green to me, still a little stiff in the ring up against Naomi. The backstory of this is Naomi is the one that caused Jade the injury, where she had to give up the tag titles with Bianca and was off for a while, and you know, it was Naomi that did it. I don't get the reasoning behind it, because I've not really paid much attention to the storyline. I know Naomi's the one that injured her and she was off for a while, and this is her coming back for payback. The match itself was a little stiff, but not stiff in the way that they were potatoing each other, more stiff in the fact that all the movements seemed a little, we all know it's choreographed, but it seemed a lot of things were telegraphed, and then it was slow to them beats, and nothing really was all that fluid. We got the usual Jade being strong, Jade doing something strong, Michael Cole coming in his pants because Jade is strong, but it's kind of like, okay, I'm not seeing anything that's been like, wow, she's vastly improved over the year and a bit, 2 years that she's been with WWE. It's like, she doesn't seem all that different from when she was going on the Goldberg streak in AEW of just going over people. It doesn't seem like there's been a lot of progression. She's still one of those people that you look at and you're like, wow, you can see why she's been put there. She looks ridiculous. Like, she's shredded out of her mind. A great look, but there's nothing of her character or in-ring ability yet that I'm like, yeah, let's keep watching this. It's definitely still, you know, for me, even watching it during the day, I'm still checking my phone, doing other things, and just looking up now and again to see what's going on in the match. It didn't capture my attention too much, so we're going to go 2.5 stars with that. Not much. And again, another quick match, which was making me think, like, what's going on here? Are we going to get like an hour and a half for the main event? Or are they really cutting down WrestleMania to tighten it so it feels more like a 3-hour Raw than an over-exaggerated pay-per-view, PLE? So it was kind of like, whoa, okay, this is going quite quick. Next up, we had Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight for the United States Championship match. I've not really paid much attention to Jacob Fatu because usually I've not been paying much attention to the Bloodline stuff. Where that's been going on, I speed watch some of that stuff or just miss it entirely because it's been an ongoing story that, for me personally, has gone on far too long. Should have died a few years ago. So I don't really know much about this guy. It's just he's another Uso Samoan guy related to everyone else. But I kind of like him. I kind of like the look he's got. He kind of reminds me of Samoa Joe in a way that he's sort of he's a big bulldozery guy who just comes in, manhandles people. And I don't mind that, you know, but when you've got so many of that look-alike sort of going on, it's kind of hard to stand out. But LA Knight, I like the guy. I found him entertaining. I've always liked the guy when he was back in TNA, and I had a good run there. He did NWA for a little while. I've always liked the guy. I know there might be, I think backstage stuff is probably a little hard to work with as a person or something, but it's unfortunate that he didn't get that WrestleMania Roman win a couple of years ago. I don't know if it was a WrestleMania win or a SummerSlam, but because they've been on such a hard streak with Roman, they couldn't drop the title to LA Knight. It had to be someone bigger. Cody coming back was the obvious person, so it's a shame that he got so close to that pinnacle that he's dropped back down to mid-card. I do think he should still be in the title picture race with like a Drew McIntyre. LA Knight and Drew should be up there with, you know, the other, like with the Seths of the world, trying to get them big titles. I do think he should be going there. Maybe he is, because he did lose this match. It was a good, strong match, back and forth. I enjoyed it. I didn't know much about Jacob Fatu before this, but afterwards, I'm going to keep an eye on the guy. I think he's quite impressive. I don't know about his promo skills and character-wise, but I kind of enjoy his look, that juggernauty Samoan guy. Athletic as always, because they all are, apart from the Usos these days. But a decent match. Again, a quick match. Like, I've got some notes up here, just the times. I don't know if they're the full times, but this one, I've got it written down here as another 10-minute matches. So we started off with a 15-20 minute match into 3 back-to-back 10-minute matches. It's kind of like, what's going on here? I didn't know. In my mind, I was like, I kind of no idea what the card's going on, but is there more matches? Is it a 10-card match tonight? So yeah, another quick match. Decent. I'll give it 3.5 stars. And for me, I've taken from this is, okay, I've got someone to look out for and watch now, because I don't have the time in the world to watch Raw and SmackDown every week, so I will just look at highlights and stuff here and there. So I've never really seen much of Jacob's work, but it will be something that's like, okay, well, when I know his match is coming up next, or I see a promo coming up, it's like, okay, I'm going to pay attention to now because he's won me over in a way. Next up, we had El Grande Americano versus, was going to be Rey Mysterio, but he's injured. I think legitimately injured, like in the week running up, and he got replaced with Rey Fenix, he's been with the WWE 2, maybe 3 weeks, and he's in a WrestleMania straight away. Him and Penta must have done something massively to impress the WWE background guys, because they've both come into WWE within the last couple of months, and they're both on the card for WrestleMania. I think tonight, Penta's with I think the 4-way for the Intercontinental. I think it's that. So yeah, Rey took over what would have been Rey's spot with Grande Americano, Chad Gable. I've enjoyed what Chad's been doing. He's always been impressive in the ring, but now doing the luchador stuff, it's like, okay, this guy's just fully impressive all around. Going from his Kurt Angle style catch American, proper wrestling style to the somewhat high-flying, flipping luchador style. It's like, okay, this guy's great. It were a fun match, as usual. What you expect from a luchador versus luchador match. We did get the intro, the beginning with Vikingo from Triple A, who WWE have just bought. There was an interaction with him and El Grande at the beginning where El Grande shoved Vikingo and Vikingo kicked him in the head, and I kind of thought, are we going to get a quick roll-up match here, like one of those classic WrestleMania PLE matches where it's over in like less than a minute, a shock win out of nowhere? But actually no, it went on for a while. I've got it down here as 10 minutes again. It might be less than that, but it was a fun match. There were a couple, I think it was either a backwards moonsault or a backwards 450, but there was a really nice slick backwards moonsault twist from El Grande Americano that was like, wow. Afterwards they were like, what can Chad Gable not do? Like, this should be a guy that after whatever he's doing with this little run should be getting a decent mid-card title. Unfortunately for me, he's one of those guys that is maybe too small to get up there for the big picture cards, but now Jey Uso's done it. It might open the door to almost any height or weight can be a title, a heavyweight champion. Rey's done it in the past, so maybe they're trying to do that again, but Chad's, after this, is like, okay, I always kind of liked him. I kind of like this bad guy Team America thing that they've been doing, but with this extra element of his lucha libre style, it's like, it really impresses, and he's diced out of his mind. The guy's in incredible shape. But a quick, fun match that, after the past couple of matches, it was good to have something super quick and athletic. I think spotting these matches now and again is good. When you get them too often, which might be a thing against AEW, is it tires itself out. But we haven't had something that was hitting those high spot marks. So getting one of them in was decent. So I'm going to give this 3.5. We'll go 3.5. Well, actually, no. Yeah, 3.5, because it was quick. If it went on a little longer and there was a bit more back and forth, then yeah. But yes, so Chad won in the end, but he had to cheat, which is something he's been doing recently, where he's been sliding like a piece of metal or like a weird codpiece thing into his mask and cheating his win. So it was a sort of a cheat win, but I enjoyed it nevertheless. Next up, we have the Women's Championship match, which was Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair, which, I don't know if us in the crowd have been worked into a shoot, or a shoot that's been turned into a work, or a shoot, work. We don't really know what's going on, but the promos back and forth between these two have been getting a little bit spicy, a little bit strange. Charlotte Flair, she's been fantastic in the ring and had a brilliant career, but there is something to be said of someone who goes away and comes back and gets a title match straight away. She's the big women's attraction, but I think she's been gone long enough now that the division's changed and moved on, and almost moved on and left her behind. Like, it's going to be strange if and when Becky potentially comes back, if she ever does, it's one of those that there's enough women going on now that things have been left behind. You know, you're going to really prove your worth and make sure your character's there, get over with the fans again, when there's so many other people around now. So Charlotte coming back and getting this title shot straight away kind of rubbed a lot of people up the wrong way. Like I said, the promos over the past few weeks have been a little bit spicy, and we don't know what's really or what's not, which is still good in, you know, in the world of WWE, where most people are kind of in on the joke and in on what's going on now, can still kind of get sucked in to the world of, whoa, what she said there, did she step that too far, or we don't quite know. So I'm glad that mystique and magic is still there. Like, I know, you know, what happens in the ring does hurt, but we all know it's choreographed and laid out. But there are still moments when you see someone do a certain move or a certain spot hits and you're wincing, going, God, how did they do that? And the magic's still there. So this match was... it was better than the previous women's match. A lot of back and forth. There were times that if you weren't paying attention to it and you're like looking at your phone and doing something else and looking up at the screen, it was hard to tell who's who. There was a lot of blonde wig hair flying around. They're both appearance-wise, like outfits, were very similar. I don't know if that's something that they've planned, because it's like Charlotte's always looked a certain way. Tiffany's, you know, is she emulating her? Is she trying to take her off, kind of thing? But when they're stood next to it, you know, Charlotte does tower over Tiffany. Tiffany is a lot stockier and bigger. But it was a spotty match at best. I don't know if it's like Charlotte's not had enough time to work out the rust in the ring, not been probably doing a lot of cardio and stuff in the background, but doing it live in front of a crowd and the adrenaline and everything. But there were certain points where it's sort of like I said with the Jade and Naomi match, it's certain times where you can tell they've said to each other or set up a spot, and there's that momentary pause of, oh, I'm supposed to do something now. It doesn't flow as well as like a lot of men's matches do. Not to say that there's not gaffes and botches in men's stuff. There is. We see it all the time. But I don't know why it always stands out a lot more with women. I don't know, because there is that momentary pause of like, oh, what we do? Oh no, okay, now do something. There were a few stiff shots and stiff falls. Tiffany ended up with a big old bump on her head, and by the end of the match, when she was celebrating her win, which she got, it looks like she's either... At the time I couldn't quite tell if it was blood, but it looks like she's taken out maybe a top 2 teeth, or at least 1 tooth, and she seemed annoyed when she was celebrating. It's like you could tell she maybe felt something and annoyed that, like, oh fuck, I've lost a tooth, or I've got to get some teeth replaced here. So I don't know where that quite happened in the match, because there were a lot of... The hair gets in the way a lot of the stuff with the women, so it's one of those that I can't quite tell when it happened. But it was a fine match, one of the longer matches. I've got it written down as 20 minutes on my notes at the side. So, you know, we're going back to the beginning. So we've had a 20-minute match at the beginning, a 20-minute match now, and then some quick matches in between. So in my mind, I'm just like looking at the clock on the player, thinking, surely we're going to get more in this. But no. Going into the final match of the night, which is Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, which seems to be a fight over who gets Paul Heyman. There's been a weird dynamic with... Now, Paul's been in CM Punk's corner. He was years ago, just like he was in Brock's. And then over the past 5-6 years, he's been with Roman, doing the Tribal Chief stuff, which, again, like I said, with the Bloodline stuff, I'm over it. I moved past that. Oh, I didn't give a star rating for the women's match. I will go 3 for that. It was fine, but again, a little spotty, didn't really do much for me. So for this, before the match, we got a really nice package for CM Punk. He's now finally got his WrestleMania dream of main event in a WrestleMania. Yes, it's night 1 of 2, and usually over the past few years, night 2's been the better night than night 1, but he got that, and he pulled a favour with Paul Heyman to get him into that match, because he owed him a favour, because Punk joined Roman Reigns at one of the pay-per-views to tag team with him, so he owes him a favour. Then we've had this weird thing over, I think it was last week or the week before, where Seth says Paul owes me a favour as well, or asked him for a favour. So Paul's pulling some strings somewhere to do some stuff, and it seems to be like, is everyone fighting? There's no championship on the line in this match. Is it who aligns themselves with Paul? It was a weird build up to make it a three-way match, because it could have just been Seth and Punk. It could have just been Roman and Punk, or it could have just been, it felt weird that they had to make some kind of weird three-way to make sure Roman's still headlining a WrestleMania. I think it's either his 9th or 10th WrestleMania. Far too many WrestleMania main events for me, because I think Roman's very much overrated. He looks great, but he's never really done much for me. So yes, we got a really good package for CM Punk, highlighting his history of WWE. Really good that they brought back Killswitch Engage with This Fire Burns. I think it's This Fire Burns. His original... Well, it's not his original, but it's the most well-known before Cult of Personality. And I thought, ooh, are we gonna run with this? Like Punk going back to like his earlier WWE roots, just like we saw him do with AFI in AEW. He went back and used that with his match with MGF, I think. MGF. Yeah. And he went back to his ROH roots for that, and dressed up just like it, wore the same stuff, and came out to AFI. And I thought, ooh, we're going back to like a pre, best in the world Punk here. Is he going to reach back to his roots? We've got a really nice promo package. It felt nice hearing some rock music in a package, because the music for wrestling and pay-per-views recently has been fucking garbage. Absolute dire. We've got another Weekend song who's just dirge radio music. I get fired up with proper rock music for wrestling stuff. I'm an old guy, look at my poster behind me, like, there's still the Limp Bizkit package for Rock and Stone Cold still gets me going now. I'll put that on and listen to that song at the gym, and it'll get me going. Maybe sometimes I'll watch the promo itself while on the treadmill warming up at the gym to be like, right, I'm gonna go try and lift some heavy shit right now, but that gets you going. And the rock music does that. I'm hoping we get that more now Triple H is in charge, and we just sort of just get rid of this radio R&B wank. It's crap. It doesn't work. It doesn't get anyone going. It don't work. Sit in the back, smoke your joints, listen to that. But for wrestling, I want to get hyped up and feel something before the matches. And this worked really well. So we got the long intros from all the guys. Really long walkway. I thought we were going to get some WrestleMania 3 kind of carriages bringing some people down. Like a lot of the intros seem to be like... I'm not surprised if they're tired by the time they get there, because they walk quarter of a mile. So the match itself was a fairly decent back and forth match. The problem for me with three ways is there's always a focus on two people fighting, and there's always got to be some spot or some angle where one of the guys gets kicked in the head and he's down, so the other guys can go at it for a while, and in some cases like Seth has to roll off and just lay down for 5 minutes while the other guys do stuff. But in this one, there do seem to be, especially towards the end, a focus between all three of them going at each other, and it was a really well done match. We've got a lot of psychology from like Seth trying to almost bring Roman back to like the original Shield Roman, like the animal Shield Roman. I really like Roman when he was the kind of silent, aggressive guy who would just, demolish people and not really show much other than that. And it felt like he was trying to go for that and like goad him on in ways like, come on, let's go both take this guy out. We both hate him. Piece of shit. Let's both take him out, and then we can just do our own thing and figure it out. So there were a lot of cool little moments like that where it kind of looked like Roman might be going that way, might be not. There were a segment towards the back end where they were outside, and at this point Punk was down and Seth was talking to him like, come on, we can do this. He even referenced John Moxley. He's like, Mox has left you, or Mox isn't here. And I was like, oh, okay, he's referenced his new name, not the old name. And it really felt like Roman was going to go for it, an old school Shield powerbomb through a table. It reversed, So just before that, Roman gave one of his weak Superman punches. It's always been a shit move for me. Weak Superman punch, and then put Punk through a table, and then pick Seth up and put him through the other table. I do kind of like that. The table spot is still there, you know. The Spanish table still getting put through. All these years later, it's still happening. I still like that. And then after the guys have thoroughly beaten each other up, and they were all starting to really feel it and slow down. We got a couple of cool segments where Punk would pick Seth up and look like he's about to go for a GTS, but Roman had come out of nowhere with a spear, and then they'd all be laying down. A lot of close calls with the pins. A lot of the pins, if you look at the ref, his hands was touching the mat. So it's like he was either too pumped up and going for it, but he was like, oof, some of these pins, you know, look like they were very much like 2.7, 2.9s. So some back and forth spots. We had a spot where Punk gave Seth the GTS. He went back into the ropes. Then Roman came and gives Punk another spear, and then Seth bounced off the ropes, gained consciousness after the GTS, and gave a curb stomp to Roman, and then they're all laying down, taking breath. And then right at the end, they're all laying down, all dead in the ring, and then the camera cuts to Paul, who walks over to the sort of ring announcer bell guy area. Really dramatically, as only Paul Heyman could do, just sucking up that attention because he knows this is his moment. Picks up a black chair, slowly walks to the ring. By this time, you've got Punk and Roman looking at him. You've got Paul looking like he doesn't know what he's going to do, where it's going to go, and then shakes his head at Roman and slides the chair into Punk. Gets into the ring, starts whispering, saying stuff to Punk. Like, go for him, go, take him out, go on, it's your time. In the ring with Punk, going off into the corner. Punk's there waiting. I don't know. It's building up the anticipation, but by now you're kind of like, just go for it. Finally, just about to go strike. Roman down. Paul Heyman, the little weasel he is, comes in, gives him the old, smacks his balls in. Punk goes down, and then the crowd's going mental. Even I'm worked into it at this point. Like, oh shit, okay, I didn't see this kind of twist. In my mind, I saw the ending before we get to the ending, but this is how I saw it playing out. I've thought for a while now that Seth is the third man, that The Rock and Cena have talked about, that there is another person that is there. I thought it's either going to be Seth or Drew. Drew recently, because he's doing a collaboration with Rock's Under Armour, so I thought, okay, it might be Drew, and Rock's put him over in promos and stuff and in interviews, so I thought it's either going to be him or Seth. So in this moment, I'm kind of like, oh, okay, I'm sucked into this now, like finally, because for the most part, as you've probably heard over the past 33 minutes, it's been an okay show. It's been nothing blowing my mind, but at this point I'm like, oh, okay, even I don't know where it's gonna go. What's happening now? So you've got Punk rolling around grabbing his balls, and then you've got Paul going over to Roman, offers him out the chair, my tribal chief, blah blah blah. Roman's got a massive smile on his face, showing off them brand new slightly too big for his mouth teeth, just that perfect Hollywood smile, and it looks like right, this is my moment. He goes into his corner, saying to him, go for it. Looking at this moment, pointing at Seth. Seth's crawled himself up, he's holding onto the ropes, and now it's like, right, go for him. 10 years ago, what he did to you, you got to do to him. Smack him in the back with that chair, get your win. Paul goes behind Roman. Roman teeing himself up, getting his mind in there. Really, properly, that demon beast version of Roman is back like, oh, okay, I'm going to do this. Paul, the little weasel, boomf, smacks him in the nuts as well. I'm just like, what the fuck is going on now? What's going on now? So we've had 2 double crossings from Paul within 5 minutes. It's kind of like, is he going to do it to everyone? Like, that's where my mind was going. My mind was going, right, is he then going to do this to Seth? And then all 3 of them have been, taken back by Paul. Paul's just double-crossed everyone in the ring. Rock's music hits. Rock comes down, beats them all up. You know, no DQ, whatever. The match, you know, ends in some weird spot. That's where my mind was going next. But no. Paul aligns with Seth. Seth hits Roman with the chair, gets the win, and then it's sort of like, oh, okay. In my mind, I'm now going, okay, well, is the third man that The Rock and Cena have talked about Paul Heyman? Is he the man that's pulling the strings, or is it still going to be Seth? And maybe it's going to be Rock, Cena, Seth, and Paul Heyman. Those are the new alliance, corporate, whatever, you know, kind of, you know, in TNA terms, it would be like the main event mafia, which I kind of liked back in the day. I kind of liked it. I did like that title that they had as well. But yeah, by the end of this, I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm pumped up to see where this is going to go. I kind of thought going into it, Paul's in Punk's corner. We've just had this massive promo with Punk building up. He's getting his dream. How's it going to go? Blah, blah, blah. Punk will win. Whatever. That's how I initially went into it. I'm coming out of night one like, whoa, what is going on? I'm giving this match itself 4.5 stars. Like, it pulled me in. I thought it was going to go one way, and it'd be a decent to average match. Everyone would hit their spots, and it would be the usual, you know, maybe, you know, Punk takes someone's move, you know, Seth goes for a spear, and maybe Roman goes for a GTS, and you get that kind of back and forth stealing moves kind of thing, and eventually Punk would win. Blah, blah, blah. Night one's over, move on to the next thing. After this, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm suckered in. What's going to happen on Raw, maybe SmackDown? Like, what's going to happen with this? What's going to happen tonight in night 2? Is any of the consequences from this match going to fall out into the Cody-Cena match, or maybe before that in backstage segments? So I'm fully in. Overall, as a show, it's like a 3-star. It's a solid 3-star. It didn't feel like a WrestleMania. Like, there were not enough in there that I was invested in each match. Like the New Day Vikings, it's like, okay, New Day being bubbling under, but it doesn't feel like they've had a long rivalry with the Viking Raiders. Uso and Gunther, yeah, they've had a long back and forth, and Jay's been coming up, but I still didn't, maybe because I couldn't give two shits about Jey Uso, that I was kind of like, I'm uninterested in this, so I'm not bothered. The women's matches, I'm never really fully invested in any of the women's matches. This isn't some weird misogynist like, ooh, you don't like women? Fucking love women, mate. They look great. But there's not that many of the women's characters that pull me in. Like Becky back in the day when it was like main event Becky, or, you know, 2 about Becky, and there's stuff with Ronda, like, I was invested in that. This recent crop, I'm not really that pulled in on, other than maybe Io Sky and Kairi Sane, because they're fucking hot as shit. Other than that, I'm not really suckered into any of the stories and stuff going on. So I'll watch them, but it's not like I really need to see what's going on. So I'm giving it a 3-star overall, mainly because of the last match. Really pulled me back. It doesn't feel like each match built on top of itself, building up to the main event. There were a lot of peaks and valleys, and a lot of the earlier matches being quite quick made me wonder what's going on. Like, we were going to get like an hour and a half slobber knocker towards the end. It went on for a decent while. I've got 30 minutes written down here. I don't know if it's a little bit more than that, a little bit less than that, but it felt like a quick, tight match, tight schedule overall, but it felt like a slightly better Raw because of the set. If you were to watch this by itself and it was in a Raw sort of stadium with Raw, the Titatron, I don't really like the boring LEDs. I like that we've got something that looks good, but it didn't feel that much grander than your average PLE or Raw. It just felt like fine. Didn't feel like WrestleMania to me. WrestleMania always felt like back in the past it would be those big matches, big rivalries coming to a head at the pinnacle of the year, the WrestleMania, and then at the end of it, it would all restart, or there would be some things that would trickle on for another year. But now it just feels like it's just a slightly better version of what you get on TV. I'm hoping Night 2's better. There's a few matches in that I am interested in, but again, there's a few filler matches here and there to see what happens. But the fallout of the main event, I'm really looking forward to see where this goes. The fallout of the other matches, not really that asked about, really. It feels like they've tied them all up and they'll just move on to the next thing. I don't know where Gunther's going to go next. For me, Gunther feels like he's been maybe devalued by losing to Jay, but how he lost to Jay, he never felt like he was that big of a threat. So yeah, a 3-star for night 1 of WrestleMania. Night 2 is coming up, well, for me, in like just under 2 hours. I might kind of see the first hour and see how it goes. So I might watch it live and watch it again in the morning, so I have an idea of what to do for another video. But yes, it was good. I do think that the final match and how the final match finished definitely salvaged the night. I think if it was just going to be Punk goes over with Paul in his corner and it were just a normal match, I think it might have been a 2.5, maybe 2-star kind of night. But because of that final main event, you know, I will give it a good 4 stars. I think I'm going to go a solid 4. Let's not go halves with a final score, but solid 4 stars because that match properly did it for me. So yes, let me know your thoughts below on your matches, your favourite match of the night. Mine will go to the main event. If we take away the main event, I'll probably give it to Jacob Fatu and LA Knight. I enjoyed that match. They were decent. Or maybe El Grande Americano and Phoenix, just because I'm enjoying what Chad's doing. It's a silly gimmick thing and I'm enjoying what he's doing. So yes, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts below. Like, share, subscribe, do what algorithm stuff. Catch you guys in the next video. Bye bye.